So you're already enjoying Tekken 8 since a week or so, and you're having fun, winning some matches, but you still think, yeah, you're just scratching the surface, okay? So in this video, I'm going to teach you some advanced concepts of Tekken in general. Tekken 8, of course. This is the example we are playing with. And I hope it helps you to actually take that next leap, right? Just move forward from where you are now, because you covered the basics, doing some basic combos, you're doing some power crushes, you're winning some matches. But like I said, there's still a lot of stuff that you probably don't know about. And this video will exactly show you a couple of these. So first, let's start with input buffering, okay? So we have our guy Paul here, and you probably already got hit by that a lot. This move here, this low. You know, it hurts. It's very difficult to react to. You probably never react to this, at least not as a beginner. And from this low, you can transition into this move, yeah, into the second hit. And then you can transition to a third hit. So this is called Demo Man. And this move has a pretty simple input, right? The input is down 4 into the 2. So down forward, down 4, 2. And then 1 plus 2. So once you did that, there's actually a way. Demo Man is a good example, what I'm about to show you now, because instead of pressing 1 plus 2 after pressing 2, you can do something called buffering, and this is, you can just hold 2, right? So when you do this sequence here, you just keep your finger on the 2. On PlayStation, that's triangle. On Xbox, that's Y. You just keep the finger on, and then you just press 1. That's X on Xbox, and that must be the square on PlayStation. Yeah, you just additionally press the next button. So when you do this, the game will actually register your next input as a 1 plus 2 input. So I'm going to show you this now on my arcade stick. First, let's play the standard sequence. So this was the standard sequence. You're just pressing all the inputs separately. So now I'm going to show you how it looks like if you just hold 2 and then just press 1. So this is exactly how it works. You can press down 4, 2, 1 plus 2, or instead you can press down 4, 2, then hold 2, and then just press 1 while you're holding 2. And knowing this will actually turn a lot of inputs in the game much more easy to input than before, right? So this is Paul's Demo Man example, and I chose this because it's a pretty easy combo to understand the concept of input buffering, right? You just do down 4 and the 2, and then to get the last hit, you just hold 2 and press 1. If you don't have the timing down, you can also actually mash 1, yeah? I don't know if you heard that. So let's do it again. I will put the microphone a little bit lower. So what I did here, I just pressed down 4, then hold 2, and then I just mashed 1. So you can also use this method of input buffering for king chain throws. They made the chain throws a little bit easier than before. But as you can see over there, chicken wing face lock, that is done doing the arm breaker. And the input is 2, 1, and then 1 plus 3. There you go. So, but you can also use input buffering, and I think input buffering in this case is actually easier. So what you can actually do is you can press 2, you hold 2. While holding 2, you press 1, and you also hold that. So you now end up in a position where you're holding 1 and 2. And then you just, while you hold 1 and 2, you press 3. So you end up in a position where you hold all 3 buttons, and the input perfectly works. I think this is way more consistent than inputting it manually, or, well, using no buffering. But this is up to you. I will now show you the normal inputs on my arcade stick. And now this is how it looks like if you do the input buffering. It is a very natural motion to just tap 3 times basically with your fingers. It's like a wave motion, yeah? So try it out. I think it's easier to do it that way. And you can apply the same for the rolling death cradle. So with the rolling death cradle, you don't have to hold all the buttons. I always input the buttons separately, but the last 2 buttons, I do exactly what I do with Paul's demo man. So here is a video of my arcade stick again, inputting it normally, just every button separately. And now watch it with the input buffer at the end. So yeah, that's input buffering. So I don't think it is that difficult, to be honest. It's quite easy to understand. And input buffering is a concept that can make a lot of inputs easier for you if you're struggling. So yeah, use them. Use them. Use them to your advantage. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the difference between low parry and low block. So sometimes people want to style on their opponent and do low parries, but it's not always good for you, right? So look at this combo here with King. It's a simple bread and butter combo, okay? So this is 62 damage. So if you block something and then launch the enemy, you get your 62 damage. Fine. Now let's take a look at low parry, okay? Oh, what happened? I was actually not able to do the combo. Yeah, that's... I only get 30 damage out of that, right? You stop attacking Kazuya. So, it's simple. When the enemy is using safe lows to poke you, then use low parry. Why? Because you cannot punish. So when the enemy is using low attacks where they are safe, you try to aim for the low parry if you are skilled enough. You can also learn this by living, of course. If the enemy is using unsafe lows, like for example Brian's Snake Edge, something like that, big sweep attacks they're actually reactable, right? Big sweep attacks that leave the enemy unsafe. Then you want to launch, because you will always get more damage out of a launch than out of a low parry. So even if it's stylish, don't try to low parry all the attacks the enemy is throwing at you. Try to focus your low parries on the attacks where it actually makes sense, and those are the attacks that keep the enemy safe, so you can instantly deal some damage. If they are unsafe, go for the launch. You will deal more damage. So the third tip I have for you, this is something pretty easy. Use sidesteps. It's a 3D game. There's not much to say about that. Use sidesteps. There are characters. You feel very overwhelmed. They rush you down. Horang is a good example. They're always in your face. And you feel like, wow, I have nothing against that. You're blocking all day. You try to find gaps in their strings to counter them, to punish them, anything. But it doesn't work. But did you try sidestepping? Probably not. Use sidesteps. Please do it. It's good for you. Another thing that I see a lot right now, and especially newbies do, look at this. So you think that was good. Yeah, maybe King is a bad example here because his Heat Smash deals tons of damage. But now look at the Heat Smash. That was 64 damage here. When you do a Heat Smash raw Heat Smash, 64 damage. Gotcha. That's a lot. King has one of the highest and best Heat Smashes in the game. But now, look at what happens if I use it in a combo. That's 62. That is less damage than a raw Heat Smash. And it's almost for everyone like that. So don't waste your Heat Smash at the end of a combo all the time, because there's a good chance that you will actually get less out of it. You have to try this out with the character you're playing, but please try it out and make sure that your Heat Smash is actually more useful maybe if you use it raw. Sometimes that's how you should use it. Another thing that I see all the time is, yeah, what I just did here, right? Heat Burst, Heat Smash, boom. Now you got a couple of damage points in, yeah, but all your heat is gone. And that's something I see all the time. People just waste their heat. So if King is in heat, he has an armored Jaguar dash. A lot of characters have a lot of crazy stuff when they're in heat. So when you do a giant swing with King, for example, you gain heat back. Look at the heat bar. I just got some heat back. So every character has this mechanic. Every character has a specific benefit while in heat. And at the same time, there are some moves that regenerate some heat. So instead of just wasting your heat, also, I think heat burst is terrible. Look at the heat bar. When you go in heat with that, you already have lost 5 seconds of your heat timer. So use heat engagers. With heat engagers, you get the maximum amount out of your heat. Now you'll be like, yeah, but heat burst is armored. Yeah, it is. But some characters also have armored power crush moves that go into heat, that are heat engages. Victor, for example, back 1+2 is a heat engager, and it's a power crush heat engager. It's actually pretty common. So instead of just using heat burst, use the heat engager that has armor to gain maximum amount of heat, okay, and not just waste a potion of it already. Then you also want to stay in heat for as long as you can. Don't just throw out your Heat Smash right after activating heat, because that's a whole heat bar you just lost. Sometimes you can end the match with it, okay? So Victor's heat move is a low, pretty much unreactable. So if the enemy is low and you have not used heat yet, then yeah, use it. Just use heat and instantly use Heat Smash if you know you hit and you finish the round. That's good, you took the win. But general rule of thumb is, don't just waste all your heat instantly, and try to use the Heat Smash when your heat is about to run out. That can also make you predictable, right? And you can also predict it on other people. Like when you see an enemy has heat, just wait and anticipate their Heat Smash when their heat bar is low. So you don't want to just monitor your own heat bar. Also check the heat bar of the enemy. You can see it up there, right? And when you play versus a Victor, who's in heat. You can assume that they will hit you with a low once the heat bar starts to grow thin. Okay, so just watch out for that and you'll be fine. Another last thing about heat is when you activate heat, all your gray health will be recovered. Okay, so when the match starts and you just go into heat burst, I see a lot of people do that. They do heat burst, heat smash, boom. They get a couple of hits in. They dealt some damage, but the match has just started. 2 seconds into the match, they have no heat anymore, and they have no way to regenerate their health. Yes, you can regenerate health by hitting the opponent with your normal moves. That's true. But if you really want to get a chunk of health back, once your gray health starts to become very, very, like a lot. Once you have accumulated a lot of gray health, use heat then. Try to use it then, because then you will regenerate more health. Therefore, you have a longer health bar in total, right? Now, beware. There are some characters like Nina can do this, Shaheen can do this. They can use moves that will destroy your gray health. They will take it away. So you have to keep an eye out for that. But in general, if you use heat, don't just use it at the beginning of the match, because you will take damage. Not all your rounds going to be perfect rounds. So once you take some damage, let's say you lost a quarter of your health bar, or even half of your health bar, and you have lots of gray health left, use heat to regenerate all that health, and then stay in heat for as long as you can, instead of just wasting it instantly. So now a last principle that I want to talk about is, you can actually see that it's a quote Kazuya says. That's not a story spoiler, so don't be afraid of that. What I'm going to say you now, you don't have to leave, okay? So there is a quote in the story, and Kazuya says it. He says, a fight is about who is left standing, basically, right? So it doesn't matter if you use cheap stuff. Let's say you use the universal up, forward, 1+2 grab. Every character has that. And you use it 4 times in a row, all the time. If your enemy is not breaking that, keep using it. Just do it. A lot of people are afraid to abuse stuff because they think it's cheap. Well, I think, most of the time, Tekken was a pretty balanced game. There were some crazy things, yeah, I know. But in the end, it comes down. It comes down to you and your enemy. So if you have a move that you can spam on them, and you will realize they are not countering this move, you don't have to vary your moves then. Just spam the move. If the people are not blocking it, if the people are not ducking it, if the people are not countering it, if they don't break it, why not? Because the fight in the end, it's all about the win. It's all about the one who's left standing. If you win the fight, you won the match. Simple as that. So don't try to have this mindset of false pride or something like that tells you all the time like, that was cheap, I don't want to be cheap, I want to style on him, I want to show that I'm good and can do other moves. You can do that. You get the chance on other people as well, because just because you can use something on one guy doesn't mean that you can use it on the other guy. They will probably block you soon enough anyway, but as long as something works, just abuse it. There is no spam. You remember these people in Street Fighter throwing fireballs all the time? You'll be like, hey, that's cheap, I'm getting spammed, blah, blah. Yeah, they do this exactly because it works. So, if I'm playing King, right, and people are not countering the giant swing, look at the damage that thing does. Yeah? If people are not countering the giant swing, why should I not just use it over and over again? And it's simple to counter. You can counter the giant swing with just one. You press one, that's it. So, please keep in mind you want to win the game. Don't let false pride hold you back. And figure out what works against the enemy, and then use it. Every time I fight a new guy, I usually have to calibrate a little bit. Most of the time, the first round, I'm not playing that well versus my enemies because I'm trying to figure out what they're doing. But by the second or the third round, I'm then starting to gain some ground, and this is when I gain my momentum, because then I start to figure out the enemy, and then I start to realize what works, and then I just abuse it. If you lose the first or second round versus your players, your enemies all the time, that's pretty normal actually, because when two strangers meet, they just are both guessing basically, and sometimes you guess right with your strategy, sometimes you guess wrong and the strategy is not working. But try to figure out what works and then abuse it. Simple. Okay, I think I said it now often enough. I hope you understood what I'm saying. And I hope you learned something from this video. And yeah, see you next time playing some Tekken. And enjoy the game. Have fun.